Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sognsdal Saga series, where we will continue where we left off. As the previous episode I've recorded for the first time in over a month was more of a catching up of what's been recently updated here on this version of Crusader Kings 3, as well as all the mods that are up to date now. And but this time in this episode we will return to territorial expansion. I mean, we're not aiming to take the rest of Scandinavia, as in all of the lands of the Sami, Finns, and the Karlands. That's not our aim here. We have a new ambition, and that is to first expand into Denmark and then to the eastern half of England, as well as creation of the said kingdom titles that associate with it. So in effect, I would have 4 kingdom titles by then. Yes. And our first target will be Denmark, which we could do is a subjugation war down here. That's one of them. And then I'm sure after that, and I was about to say, alright, which one of yous has the largest amount of, counties in order to create the title of the Kingdom of England? Because you need 21 out of... Well, we currently own 7, but you need 21 out of 41. I mean, there's no doubt that we will be using a lot of conquered duchies, Nordic Seas region, which is going to cost us a lot of prestige for it. And even if you were to create those said tiles that associate with it, do not forget that what we should go for is ducal conquest, so that it will cost you less money to create these set tiles, even if you are already tribal. So we may go back to doing that sooner or later. But I'm kind of more interested in maybe become a scholar. And my health is still relatively fine, so I got a good couple of years ahead of me. Let me take a drink here before we will begin. So, again, our first plan is wiser to invade kingdoms. I mean, we could subjugate it all, but I'm only interested in the kingdom. Not interested in Pomerania, or even a part of Prussia. We just only want this. Now, remember, this is my brother-in-law we're talking here. Allied to it. I mean, the invade kingdom of Castella is there. That's East Sax. Just looking at all the duchies, like, do they have more than one duchy title that would be worth taking? Oh, that's West Sax, this is East Sax. I just got slightly confused by that. No, these are all separated ones. That land up there, held by the Cumbrians, will be ignored as that they don't have parts of England that we would want to take. So no need to use that Cave Castle spell, but we'll have to use it instead. I was thinking about subjugating as that costs more versus 1,000. While subjugated wholly, you'll get that title. Okay, then we'll use subjugation then. And then I will, like if there's anybody that still lives in the areas of Prussia, Pomerania, I will grant them independence because I am not interested in holding those territories. We wanted that, and then we'll go on to all of this coastal parts of England there. No matter who lives there. So, alright, let's go for it. Split up. It's not a good idea that I should be leading an army, but I'm the only one with the best commander advantage. So we'll head to there, even though we're going to bypass everybody. All the more numerous ones can take that. You can take the little islands while we'll get up there to ensure a quick victory over these relevant areas. Oh my goodness. A month, no, year-long siege. One of these days we gotta start using proper siege weaponry, which, do we have that? Yeah, we do. Why haven't you brought those? But the issue is, well, which ones would I have to get rid of? God, blast it. Okay, it's going to be longer than originally scheduled. An ornate brooch of masterful craftsmanship. It consists of onyx, colorjon, mounted on brass fastening. That's lovely. I'm trying not to sneeze here. We got some unwanted guests. We shall see about that. And name it after me, why not? You know they're gonna get that before you, so go engage them. You are the second best. Actually, use that other commander because you're going to a straight crossing. Actually, no, you're not taking a straight crossing. God blasted. Make up your mind. Don't let him get away. Less friendly casualties would be ideal. If you capture the Danish king himself, good. Get back to where you were. While we will continue to work on this. Excuse me. Lady Raja, the betrothed of my daughter Valvorx, passed away. All those carefully crafted plans have been crushed by Hell's fickle impulse. Though such complaints pretty petty in Sanskrit's family's pain. Oh, rest in peace. He was due for inheritance. But now we'll never get that chance because he died godwritten. These are all well fortified. This is taking way longer than usual because you didn't bother bringing siege weaponry. You're still of the old army. That's the configuration what we have is what we would call it, the old army. Like the old navy. That's about it. Vader of Munster, Svanborg, Jolland. In the past few days, neighbor Vader has been visiting my court on his way to some holy site or something. Since his arrival, he has been outshining with his generosity towards my own courtiers. We've all been lapping up with his gold with no dignity. I could help but scoff when I see him surrounded by adoring courtiers for the umpteenth time. My courtiers. A purse for you, good Svanborg, and some coins for you also, kind Jorun. And you, sweet Steinar, sweet honeycakes. Remember, riches are meant to be shared. I could be even more generous. Yeah, just to prove it to you. And I doubt there'll be generosity of what we're about to do here. Oh, we can end that war immediately, now that we captured his son and heir. I exit my tent. The siege camp sprawls out before me. A haphazard clutter of canvas, wooden stakes, and trampled muddy earth. Standards and colors flaps and snap in the wind, leaning against the bare rocks that rise from the earth. Gulls circle above, calling to one another with shrill cries. It smells of smoke and sweat and horse dung. My low retainer approaches and informs me that the siege has ended. I gather my bodyguards and head to the edge of the game. Here above, stands before me, a blackened waste of smoldering homes, steeples, and spires. In the fields between the dead and dying lights scattered, abandoned to bugs and vultures. Bodies and body parts littered the muddy streets. Grieving widows wail with emptied eyes, petrified by fear. My men look for me for direction. Spare that holding because this is to be our territory now. Yes. Captured his heir. That's what won us Denmark. Vote Torfi. So that way he can inherit everything. And we shall raise a runestone. course, the alternative is, why don't you forge your own empire? But no, we don't want that. Because one, that's way too expensive. And two, it isn't going to get us feudal compared to this. So there. Now you have Denmark. Now all you need is England. And complete control of the North Sea Heartlands. Which we do hold it. It's just now, this area of all this must be taken. That means we'll be fighting numerous wars that is to come. Including the ones that's held by the Great Kingdom of Aquitaine. Which reminds me. Find out the size of the army before we even think about engaging them. Oh, and another thing. As good as they are, fortunately we gotta get rid of them. And get us these onagers, because we're going on the offensive here, so you need these. Because we do not want to delay our agenda. And we have inherited some court artifacts from the fallen kingdom of Denmark. How does that compare to mine? They don't compare. There's another throne. Danish court politics. Ah, this will be very useful when I return to use that diplomacy lifestyle. That'll be useful. Look again. Yeah. Just wanted to know. So there'll be a bit of a lull on Hordaland. Put that there. We don't need to found a new empire just yet. And of course, don't forget to deal with factions. Twins. Oh, excellent. Remember, he's due to inherit the Yankpur, which is way over there in the Bahar region. He's going to be around for a long time. Yeah, that's what we like to see. I don't care who I would name those children. They're due to inheritance. Moskva. Do you not rule the kingdom of Vladimir anymore? No, someone else rules it. So our dynasty now only rules Moskva. That's unfortunate. You used to hold tunnels bigger than that from your ancestors. We'll check back on them in the near future, while we would wait till we get our siege weaponry out. One sec. Okay, we had our differences in the past, but don't you agree that it's time to let bygones be bygones? My concubine just, whatever is between us, let us start anew. Yes, let us. Whatever we were arguing about, that was stupid. More regalia. Well, it better be better than the one that I currently have. I'm going for a ride now again. Yes, of course. What's a girl got to do? As I enter the room, I notice my concubine is this acting distant and aloof. I walk over to her and put her hand on her shoulder. What's the matter? She looks at me for a moment, then sighs heavily. It's this place. It's just so understimulating. Her shoulders heave in a shrug. I just don't know what to do with myself. A new skill always refreshes my mood. Way to go. She already likes me well enough, but I think it would be better to have more friends because confidence. Five to wow, that's a lot of men that they have over down in Aquitaine. More sheep to the slaughter whenever we deal with them. Eventually. War widows. Who is with child? Has come upon the situation of the other mothers in our land. Those left by recent war and misfortune that care for their children alone. We could institute a special fund, my lord, to pay for the nursing mothers who have no other means of support. After all, rearing children is a labor just as hard and laudable as others. Oh, wow. A good idea. I shall create such a fund. I'm an honest man. That's when I experience a moment of serene and perfect clarity. Here we go again with that. Not ready yet. Just a few more months. Just in case. Put that over there. And then march down and then head to Jordvik. Take that over and then... Alright, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work our way down there. And we'll deal with this one last. Yes, you do get to inherit everything. Because I got all the vassals on my side. And those that do not, well, do not fret. You will support me. Including the former. You will learn to respect me. And of course, each of the expansion into these lands of the Anglo-Saxons, even though they're mainly Christians, but we want those who have a different faith to have a bit more positive opinion towards us. That'd be ideal. Again, I'd like to be a scholar before I get back to Diplomacy, my go-to skill. So that way I make it feel like I've accomplished something. Oh, really? It won't in. I wait patiently on my throne. That's a first, because he's known to be impatient. I wait patiently on my throne for the arrival of Yaro Andres, who is soon announced and ushered before me. He kneels in deference, offering nothing but his oath to faithfully serve his vassal Ulrich. At last I bid the all rise, confirm my satisfaction, and Andres' rights to the lands he rules in my stead. Serve me well, Andres. Each time when these vassals do that, I gain a little bit of renown. All the more reasons why I must go feudal, because he's a feudal vassal. I don't think tribal vassals do that little homage event. Just I wish they would give me more, like money and all that. God, it's disband. I spot my wife is chattering excitedly to Ilde, listing ideas and suggestions for his regalia. My muddles through his spirit concealed his contempt, clearly ignored at my spouse's interference. As your forged regalia, she goes on, it may as well match my grandmother's old regalia. A part of it still seems to be dying. Listen well, Ide. My wife must be heard. We'll start the next war in just a moment. One second. I'm looking at things. Let's see. Yeah, they'll be there. The old sturdy throne got destroyed. No doubt inherited from Denmark. We're just waiting for the spring to come, so it'll be easier for the supply limit to go up when we bring everybody over here. Come back. Support Greenland again by constructing hunting stations, because in the last episode it didn't make it. Okay, it's all good now. Now before we start the next war, I want to look back at in that area of Eastern Europe, you know, such as the land of the Mordvins and the other of the peoples of the Finnic Volga. Finnic Volga culture. Yes, those people. How about, you know, that our kin over in Moskva now lives there. Part of the Maria culture. Oh, they did adopt a new culture, which is something I did not address in the previous episode, is the Mordvin flavor pack along the Volga, is what it's called. Where they added 2 separate Mordvin cultures, even though this is Erzia, and they're about to get Volga beekeepers as well. It's a uniquely regional tradition that lives in that area. So, when you start a new game, which of course in future playthroughs, you will see the Erzias and Mokshas instead of the single Mordvin culture. Now there are 2 of them, along with their own pagan faith, which is not in this playthrough, but will be. And we know those people already have the Volga beekeepers tradition, which, what is that to be exactly? That I will highlight that in a moment. So, we know that our kin has adopted that culture when they moved over there after we kicked them out of Norway long ago. And then our kin went over there and adopted the local culture there of the Mera, the Meria. which are of the Baltic, no, excuse me, the Volga-Finnic culture, which what they have is storytellers and culture blending. Now here's the regional Volga beekeepers. While beekeeping and honey hunting are both practiced around the world, the peoples of the Volga region are renowned for being master beekeepers. Valuable bee products like honey and beeswax produced from this culture are often shipped to foreign markets or given to local rulers as tribute. It unlocks the decision to acquire Volga bee products and interaction to give the said Volga bee products to other characters, and unlocks the decision to extract additional tribute from the beekeepers for those who rule over counties of this culture. And for its characters, they have small health boosts for disease resistance, and a little bit of the monthly stewardship lifestyle experience. And all the counties of that area with that tradition gives a little more holding taxes because, you know, the honey and beeswax are very valuable. It's just something to be noted. Now, let's begin. Conquer the Duchy of Derry. That's where York is. And if we're correct, it is part of the North Sea Heartlands, yes? Yes, but we also have to include all of this. Parts of Mercia. Takes a month to bring everybody over here. That's why we had to get some distance away to assemble our armies there. An ornate regalia set of masterful craftsmanship. They consist of silver scepters set in pieces of a linen cloak that's been embroidered with silk thread, and a large garter published on necklace. Aid arrives from Greenland. Good news from Greenland. I received word that the arrival of my ships carrying labor supplies of Greenland. Work has begun under construction of several hunting stations along the western coastline of Greenland. Once complete, they should prove invaluable in assisting hunters in the annual wars hunts in North Sea. No. Get everybody over here. Now split. The one with the siege engines will go straight down to Jorvik. And then you will follow us to back us up. Perhaps engage with the enemy armies down there. You idiot! You try to build an outpost at Vinland, you're gonna ruin the, you know. But again, we're going towards subsistence. Because it's the only way. Now it takes 4 months now that we have these. Do we have a siege master somewhere? Siege engineer? Yes, we do. This, Petroneg man. Oh, no. They're gonna be on top of us. Oh, thought they would engage us from there. Never mind. As you were. Worthy of the ocean. Long ships are in many ways the heart of the Progress power. Without access to the sea, what we are but trapped wolves unable to hunt or roam. It's with no small amount of alarm then that my latest inspection of our stored boat shows that many are beginning to molder and perish. Their carefully clinked hulls in danger of coming apart once returned to the water. It'll save it a long term to pay for the best now. A beautiful stick horse. Child artifact. I exit my tent. The siege camp sprawls out before me. A jumble of hastily pollard trees, watchtowers, tents, and campfires. Fierce flag-bearing heraldic birds are spread across the barren crags. It smells of smoke and sweat and horse dung. My retainer approaches and informs me that the siege has ended. I gather my bodyguards and head to the edge of the camp. 100 of Elfolk, that's the Anglo-Saxon name of York, or Jordvik as the Nordic name. A rustling heap of battle-torn horse, men, and steel. I see ravaged, abandoned fields, starving cattle and deer pecked almost clean. Everywhere bodies are littered amid the rubble, and the corpses flicker with the flames licking at their ribs. The smoke billows in the breeze, and not cleared even by the rabid storms that have ravaged this place for weeks. Grieving widows with tattered sleeves lie sobbing before the charred remains of their homes, sifting through the smoking furrows in the search of scraps of unburned bodies. Okay, now I'm going to be the kind of person that will spare every territory that we plan on gaining. They'll be out there in time. Well, since I'm not the one leading the army, I guess I got some time to play some Henefatafel. And this is just a friendly game. Why the hell not? Okay. You're from East Sax. Interesting that a Christian like you would be playing Henefatafel with me, but oh well. So, he's already waiting to begin our little Henefatafel match. Sat waiting with a competitive grimace with the large across his features. We're neck and neck. Neither of us see close figure. I'm not generally much of a one for rules, but Henefatafel makes me see the appeal. Just a little. They let you force other people to admit that you're better than them sometimes. Stab the board! Match marches on. Ethelbert, continuing with several well-executed strategies. Blast it! Somehow this match seems the kind of re-stratagem I employed. Now, which matters according were as easy as playing Henefatafel, remarks my opponent. I'd be swimming in silver. Well, he used his marsh. Well, Henefatafel, like war, is all a matter of logistics. Match marches on, continuing several well-executed strategies. He counters again. He's starting to win. My opponent could triumph at any second. You're not much of a strategist, are you? Taunts my opponent. If you try to move that face, you're getting decked. With a smug smile, I placed my final piece on the board. The game of Henefatafel is mine. Another fine victory in my indisputable rise towards the role of King of Games. Nothing but a shallow husker man left of Ethel, but he can't believe I've won. Knowing that we're going to conquer his land in the future, I'll just say, how's it feel to lose, little man? Want a tense board game. Tense as it was. Incoming. I'll take part in this battle. I still got the good martial skill as well as the prowess skill. Gotcha. Your lands are mine. Of course, gotta give them away, as these are wrong government type of realms. And I know I hold that land because that's also a wrong government type. But I will be feudal one day. But I figured I'd probably want to give Dunholm away and keep Jorvik for myself. Because this land's pretty important to me. So you know what? Well, they have less of a cultural acceptance towards it, so getting Anglo-Saxons to rule and of our faith would be good. That sounds like an idea. This one of that hybrid culture came from Norse and Anglo-Saxon. That's the reason why I said hold Jorvik for myself, because of that there. It's all the domain limit I can hold. Poklingatun. Ostjorvik. South Jorvik. Large minority. Right. So I will take ownership of these two lands here. So far, so good. We don't need to fight what's left of Jorvik down there. We'll have to fight against Mercia at least twice. Unless... No, we could take the whole of Mercia for ourselves. Even though I'm more interested in Haystack, but I guess we'll have to take the rest. And don't forget, you know, to also include that part, which is... No, that's still part of Mercia. We have to fight against them as well. For a bit of East Sax. So naturally, next target will be against Mercia. But give it a little bit of rest. Just a bit. Hold it. Phew! Oh, that was a weak sneeze. Nice, that was coming for a while now. This one doesn't give me renown. So I don't see the point of that. Bypassing Lincoln because we're saving that last. So Mercia, East Anglia, East Sax, Kent, and who are they? Hell, you jokers holding in England. Oh yeah, I have no interest in holding Pomerania for myself because that's kind of well of our way. Except Prussia stays because our vassal holds that. Whereas has no connection with any part of Scandinavia at all, so granting you independence. But this bit of Prussia stays because of our Danish vassal here. Move the rally point to Jorvik. Thing meets our necessary chore for any decent. All the free men in the area turning up to discuss local affairs, market, and jobs for this privilege or that. It has to be expected with such large gatherings to have a way of turning heated, and this thing is no exception. Saves us struggle to follow the details through all the yelling, but it seems to the men from VIET being stubborn about the fly tipping of the rubbish of a town along the border with Signovoki. Not terribly concerned about levy support, but I would say are good. The VIET men are going to take this from Signovoki, otherwise occupied. Yeah. We shall begin first thing in the year. That's the reason why I'm not holding that Grand Blot yet, because our main focus is the expansion to the North Sea Heartlands of England. There'll be no time to celebrate. 60 years old now, but still feeling fine. Took a drink. All set. Mercy as the next target. $1,000. Apparently I fell asleep while working hard last night. Perhaps I'm overworking myself too hard. No! I'm not working hard enough. I'm working hard towards the Empire of the North Sea. Or the High Kingdom of the North Sea. I'll have to accept that, but don't expect me to come here. We're kind of busy at the moment. Plus, it's a minor war. I'm sure you got other allies. You don't need us. Standard procedure. Gather around, then split in half. I will head straight for their capital, while you hunt down any armies out there, as they're going to that way. Consecrated blood. I forget about that part, because his family, descendants from the Pala dynasty, are consecrated blood. That just adds more prestige to this sort of thing. I wonder how they do that. She's still in Trondheim, while meanwhile he's back at his old home of Yanakpur. Huh. Sounds like he does visit here every once in a while. He does speak our language, so there's something. And plus, don't call him Christianus. Asbjorn will be the name. No Christian names. The only exception to that is because they're the ones that are beyond my control. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I will take charge of that army while we assign this one to be the siege master, so we can take their capital faster. Well, I'll be the one to engage them into battle. If we could catch them. Come here. As the battle rages on, I realize there are multiple weak points on the front line which are particularly vulnerable to enemy spear attack. Screaming my men to cover the assaulting area, my voice breaks. I realize they will not be able to hear me. Quick, I say to the men around me. You need to come with me, I command them, and urge them in the direction of the weak spot. As we arrive, the enemy has already begun charging into the vulnerable gap in the line, so I rally the men to brace for their coming charge. Whilst we hold, I hear an enemy general shouting a moment, command, followed by the groans of numerous enemy footmen. What was that sound? I think before a rain of spears and jabs begin to descend over the shoulders of the enemy push. As projectiles slam into the men around me, one smacks past my head, excruciatingly close to penetrating my skull. As I turn in shock, I see the same spear destined for my head lodge into the chest of a lifeless footman behind me. Jarred and stunned, I wall away from the enemy charge in a nauseating mix of fear and shock. That could have been me. That was close. Way too close. Yipe. Died of wounds, didn't you? Internal injuries. Plus, he was my friend. And you don't get too many friends these days. I exit my tent, the siege camp sprawls out before me, a confusing mass of whitewashed tents, a horse fair of makeshift markets erected by locals, packs, animals, stands and pens, flags and banners fly in the damp wind, bright colors mixing hopelessly in the grey rain. People bustle about, loading meals and checking supplies. A thin column of smoke climbs above the camp, and the smell of cooking fires fills the air. My lower return approaches before the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards and head to the edge of camp. 100 of ordering good. I'm not fluent in ye old English. The 100 stands before me, a disordered pile of rubble and debris, and fields between a dead and dying clutter to the ground. This area is soaked in blood, rivulets of it leading away from the many corpses sprawled like helpless animals in a muddy street. Grieving widows and fatherless children huddled under a tattered blankets and the husks of their homes. Keep sparing, because this is to be our territory from now on. If this wasn't our territory, then we would have, like say what we mean is be part of Norway. I mean, if this wasn't the case, then or would have looted. And we're going to be having a couple of those Christian vessels there, so we ought to improve relations with each and every one of these people. And perhaps maybe give some of those territories back, the ones who are mad at us. But however, there is going to be a lull on the conquest of England. Finland. Which war are you on? For Uzima, but it's already occupied. Occupied by someone else. But they are working on it. Okay, we'll be on our way. Plus, we improved our ships recently. You'll catch up. Well, meanwhile, we got some ministering to do. You seem friendly. Which one of you is the one that used to hold that land? Anglo-Saxony? That's the name of your house? Okay. You can have these. Wow. For you, you get to have that. And if anybody wants Mercia, I'll be willing to give it away. But you ought to be careful with holding too many duchy titles. Actually, no, you do not. You actually destroy them. If I wanted to, I could easily usurp that title right now, but no, we're a little busy. Here we go. To finish the adventure of the Dynasty Legacies. Now we have decentralized rule, where you can befriend vassals. Each of your friends' relations give you 3 vassal opinion, 2 popular opinion, and +1 vassal tax contribution for up to 5 friends. Oh gee, I wonder why you're having a hard time with them. Oh, this is a bad idea. Where's reinforcements? This is a bad idea that we're getting into. Stood on the ridge overlooking the Battle of Kudu of Hovu. A short distance of the front lines. Me and Yadvada observe the enemy's force movements. Everything is going as planned, in accordance to what I organized at the start of the battle. Suddenly, Yadvada Towards to me, it points out an unexpected enemy rush into the weaker section of our main force. We must reposition our men to defend that charge, he says, before asking to go himself to assist in commanding the tactical changes needed. You go fix that mess. After standing up to halt the enemy's advance, I continue to work out strategic execution of other tactical plans I made before the battle. A few minutes pass as I'm distracted by the other happenings before he startles me. Up here next to me, blood-stained and wounded. My lord, I failed you. As I look over the enemy's advance, as I escape myself. Fine, I'll do it myself. Let's take this quickly. My cousin, Born, has honored me with the visitors brought with Courtiers on. Approached me excitedly. Well met, Togia. Pleased to see you're thriving here in Trondheim. It occurred to me that Herbert here might be of your service to your court. He has myriad streams of influence and ways to take care of things quietly. I would make use of myself, but alas, it doesn't seem possible. I would hate to see his great talent go to waste. Won't you take a minute and unleash potential? Yeah, I know the place just for Herbert. Berserker. This war will be over quickly. Bad luck, Ethelbert. It's not escaped my notice that despicable is a very superstitious man. He fears unlucky days, unlucky colors, unlucky animals, and even unlucky trees. Spotting a shadow of a wrong bird at a wrong time could send him to a panicky spiral for days. While a strict observation of his rituals seemed to bring him a sense of immeasurable safety, a minimum divination from it could have unpredictably large effects on his peace of his mind. Effects I could take advantage of. I'm gonna mess with his head! Bad luck caused set to discard by an evil rival. Now I exit my tent, siege camp spawns up before me, a confusing mass of whitewashed tents, a horse fair, makeshift markets erected by locals, pack animals, stands and pens, flags flutter in stiff northwestern breeze, the colors stark bright against the dune sky. The smell of smoke and sweat and horse dung, my low retainer approaches the force of the siege is ended. Getting my bodyguards head to the edge of the camp. The Kundu of Purvu stands before me, a tattered glimmering pennant fluttering from the highest tower, its flames raging into the pre-dawn sky. In the fields between a red and yellow sea of roaring flames rises high to the air. Arching skeletal tree branches hang over the ruined walls, forming a tangled roof over the roughly cobbled streets. Grieving widows in rags scurry past, weeping as they forage for edible weeds in the deserted gardens. Spare that. This war isn't over yet because, yes, you have occupied the enemy capital. The objective. They want Usima, and we got them Usima. But it ain't over yet because there's a lot more to take. Move up. This way. Old folks dying. I don't know why, but I got a feeling we gotta pull out of this conflict and go back to England to continue our ambition, because it's starting to become a waste of time here. Long distance travel, plus they're gonna retake this area, and there are others that want it, but it won't do any good. You're just gonna stand there and they're gonna take it. An ally joins the war. I step out of my tent, the siege camp sprawls out before me. A cacophony of tents and banners and smoke rise from the numerous cook fires. Flags flap and flutter all along the horizon. At various intervals, fires burn. Shouts and cries ring through the damp air, while a low retainer approaches and informs that the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards and head to the edge of the camp. Overhaul stands before me, a charred and blackened ruin. The fields between the dead and dying lie in two long rows, soot-stained and rigid, heraldry flies in tatters. Helms lay on his side and horsemen stick. Limp and sweat-soaked, grieving widows of fathers show hundred the tattered blankets in the husk of their homes. This time, limited looting, because this isn't the objective. We gotta get back down there. But even though we're gonna begin to starve ourselves out by then, so this is gonna be good for anybody. I think I might as well return to Upland for a resupply. Same for us. Again, they're gonna want this back. I'm spending time at a local temple, one which I haven't been to in a while. As I enter, I stand all the interior's beauty. While it's not the largest house of worship, whoever built the decor was very clever with the limited resource they had. The artwork is sublime, the walls a pleasant glowing color, and sunlight filters through the windows from the outside in such a way that it looks like a stairway to the heavens. Oh, I wish my house had an impressive room like this somewhere. Hey, cats. Secret exposed. In prison. That's curtains for you, my friend. Split. Split again. And again. One at a time, please. It's the only way to reliably resupply for all of us. Oh, how far is the travel? 3 months. 4 months. No, we won't make it. Do we have an organizer? I recall seeing one somewhere. Yes, we do not. I think that person died long ago. One of those characters that died recently. Okay, then. Alternate path. How long does it take to get to there? Still 3 months! God blast it! God's blast it! That person doesn't seem to be popular, huh? About to make the landing just to scare him off. Just 2 more years and I'll be a scholar. And then off to diplomacy again. We're taking more casualties than they are. But we got them outnumbered. We got them. You know one responsible. Throw you in prison. Remain here. Yes, we get it. Everybody's got issues that somebody wants to kill one another. It's a good thing you're informing me of all this. Just relax. Wait for this thing to blow over. Oh, jeez. Stretching. Ah. Assemble the men. Feline hunt. I think I found a reason why some days are more rat-free than the others. My vassal Alderman Osrin happily declares that he moves aside to reveal a sword holding a very displeased cat. It wriggles in an attempt to free itself from the scratched up arms of the sword, meowing in a rather endearing fashion. I suggest one successful rat hunter. It was in the middle of a wrestling match with a fat one when we found it. What say you? Should we adopt this cat? You know, cats are revered, I believe, in some parts of Norse mythology. I love a feline companion. It's talking about a cat that pulls a chariot or one of them or something. One of those myths I've made last read. Call it snow because of the white fur, much like the snow we often see out in the winter. I gotta switch the development to somewhere else. Give me a moment. Go take their place. How developed is Signifuki? 11 compared to... We gotta develop them next. After next year. Next spring. Start developing elsewhere. You're relieved. %. Never do mind. Thank you. Now we could just... I mean, it's the levies that needs to be reinforced, but that's fine. We're dealing with smaller forces here. After that little interruption, now we could get back to focusing on England. East Anglia is the next target. Very easy. Then West Sax and East Sax. East and West Sax. And Huicha as well. Actually, this might be the great time to use that Kingdom of England cast a spell out, because they're two separate entities, and West Sax holds of two different duchies. That's the issue. Yeah. So I don't know if we'll be able to form it in my lifetime. Well, actually no, because they say you have to hold the titles for 30 years, each and every one of them. See, you gotta hold it for 30 years. So maybe we should start voting for one of the youths. Like, switch our vote to one of those youthful ones. It's like, okay, which one of yous? Young sons of Togia. Perhaps you. Even though he's contradictory. Okay, Cal's just... I'm still feeling fine. More so now that I got a rat hunting cat. So perhaps once we conquer all of the North Sea Heartlands of England, maybe we could decide who should be the one ruling all the lands of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and England. Somebody young and has to be long-lived. That is the key. I will not be the one to form the High Kingdom of the North Sea. That's going to have to be my successor to do so. And don't forget to fight for the title of England as well. Reform it and then fight everybody else. All around. And of course, that means you could negotiate the Danelaw. North Sea's a better option. Even though you're taking the long, hard way, basically. Especially with holding the title for 30 years. And I've been ruling since... Oh, it's not even 30 years. It's almost 20 years. See, that's the difficult part. It's to keep every single vassal in mind. Both Norse, faithful, and Christian alike. That's going to be the difficulty here. No friends. Excellent. Assemble here. I could buy the claim, but why the hell would we do that when we could do this instead? You can stop gathering now. All together. Let the Turkic to do it. is the leader of the plot. Step on my tent rub my eyes. The siege camp falls over me. A ragged camp of canvas, hovels, crowded between a barren slopes of lava and a forest at its back. The sky is choked with smoke from the fires and burning iron cauldrons. Flames so huge that they cast long shadows on the desolate field. Flags and banners flying in the damp wind. Bright colors mixing hopelessly in the grey rain. Smoke drifts on the wind. Throngs of men busy themselves among the tent and siege weaponry. The stench of dirt and sweat is thick in the drear air, stinging my eyes. The smells mixed up with a strong tang of urine and rancid odor rotting wounds. My lower retainer approaches and informs it the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards head to the edge of the camp. 100 of Norfolk. I think that's Norfolk. Stands for me. A cantankerous collection of stone and wood that seems somehow breathe. Black limbs tangled and entwined, teeth bared in a grimace of agony. Trebuchets of catapults littered the field. I scanned the ruins of stone houses with lightless windows and crumbled walls. Frightened survivors flee wildly through the sullied streets. Dogs and rats and my troops chasing at their heels. Spare it. That's the king himself. Get in after him. Alright, we got crop rotation. Public Works is the next thing we're exposed to. Looking to get mods now. Gotcha. We could have just defeated the army and get the king and the war would have been over already. Do not concern with the raiders. This is yours. East Sax, West Sax. Hey, is that little island part of the North Sea Heartlands? No. So. Kansas, East Sax. God blast it, why did I divide it up like that? East Sax is next. They are alone on this issue. Move back a bit. If it isn't my rival. Split the forces up when you fully gather everyone here. I'll go down to London. You go get them. Why is she so hated in her realm? Why does everybody want to kill her? Do you know? See if you can get the king before we get London. I sometimes feel like the entire world rests upon my shoulders. My responsibilities no, are endless for the moves. This is my duty after all. Didn't catch him. Now all I have to do is get London. Yeah. I looked down to see that my cat Snow dropped the scroll at my feet, sit on my vessels on Balthasar's distinct style, giving it a curiosity skin text. My coven of witches will. Witches! Child heritage secret. There ain't nothing right about that. Oh, there it is. You know, witchcraft is a serious crime. The world will know of this. I could imprison you right now if I were you. But you serve one of us as you're one of the good fighters, so I cannot put you in prison. As much as I'd like to do it, but you're one of the fighting men. The sun is shining and the peasants are milling about the tourney hosted by Lulu. All of my thing of cheer is dropped in goodness, but not determined in their honor. But for once I get to simply sit and watch. I'm not going to spend an entire tourney stuck to a throne, however. My youngest, I believe. This is a perfect chance to give Snorri a few pointers. Just... Hey, you forgot that Turkic man. Another expedition to Heartlands. Oh, my cousins. I step out of town and rub my eyes. Siege cap sprawls out before me. A sordid trash heap of broken siege weapons, discarded food, shit, lighter tents stained by leaking dye, and soldiers languishing with boredom, weariness, and disease. Flags and banners fly in the damp wind. Bright colors mixing hopelessly in the gray rain. Cut timbers laid stacked like a wall outside the tents. My low retainer approaches and informs me that the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards head to the edge. 100 of London stands for me. A crumbling settlement in the fields between, a dead and dying light pile. Wounded men beg for water. Smoke rises from the flaming houses. Black-veiled women hunker along the blackened smithies and tailor shops amid standing pools of human blood. Hastings is ours. My rival has lost those said titles. London. That's the Norse name for London. Mid-Sax. Terrible, corrupted people who's been running there. Incompetence. Well, we'll appoint the local nobles who will serve in our faith. You'll get to have the rest. Enjoy them. Kent is next. Outline again. Although you could create the title of England now. Yeah. Let's create that title of England now. As I am its overlord. And of course, having that title now means, you gotta add that law of Scandinavian elective as per tradition. And it's gonna go to Torfi, of course. But beware. The electors are all English. They may not look at it favorably. All the more reasons why we gotta take it all over. And we're not negotiating a day loan. That option's been removed. We're more interested in that option now. Englandy is what it's called in our language. So now we need to get the rest of them. All these as a reminder. We could take Sussex. It's the next option, but let me see. Invade Kingdom would be, it's like you get 2, but you can also take this hole, and then blast. Why do you have to make this hard? With all the border guard that they've created. And it's too bad it's not the later eras where you can have multiple claims that you can take all at once. It's not the way it's going to be. We could take this, that little island there, Kent, and Buckinghamshire. That's what that is. Here we go again, but this is once per lifetime, so we might as well use it. Put it over here. Scholar now. Switch to diplomacy. I put that up simply for the sake of it. Don't have enough diplomacy related books, as much as I would like to have. Okay, Kent, then that little island. Split. I'll go down to take Kent. Used to be a favorite place to loot long ago, but we're no longer doing that. As much as we're more interested in other things. You've got to defeat the combined armies. That's your objective. How old are you? Well, he'll be crossing that river soon, so it would be better to counter that. Defending a major river crossing. Well, not with that. There she is. If we can capture her, good. Well done. Move on. breath. So I exit my tent, the siege camp swells before me, a great knot of men in smoking torches. Flags flutter above the throng here and there. In tents and makeshift shelters, men huddle over fires, their faces smudged and gleaming with rain. My loyal retainer approaches and informs me that the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards to head to the edge of the camp. And under the doorthrust stands before me a charred, blackened ruin, and the fields a vast and sickly black cloud of locust swarms. Yellow bands on the hard shell carapaces are swollen to bursting. Shrilled, rattling sounds fill the air as acrid smoke swirls above them, spiraling through the air. Locusts descend upon their kin, stripping them bare and leaving a field of flesh and blood in a hollowed hulk of waste. Thick smoke curls upward from smoldering ruins. Black-veiled women lament their dead in the ruins of their homes. As a sage of Androver, I sit and ponder the events that occurred as I commanded the siege strategic decisions. Were their defenses too weak? Why were my men or weapons too strong? Either way, it certainly feels like something was off. My liege, a lot of our fortified holdings still use some of the same technology, begins the Marshal before noticing my look of concern. I look around the room and make myself clear. Until technological developments allow us to improve our forts more, we must invest in better infrastructure. Yeah. That's what we ought to do. At the Buckinghamshire. Oh, hell. No, I need someone talented this time. Also, do we not have a seneschal? Oh my goodness. I've been really neglected on this. I wonder why our men are getting killed out there. We need a seneschal. And we got so many prisoners I have no idea what to do with them. Which could end in two ways. Three ways. Ransom, execution, or send them to Greenland. If they're willing, that is. I know what this event is. Come off it, you fool. I knew that getting older would mean doing everything slower, but I didn't think it would come to a halt until my death. Lately I feel a constant malaise, and everything takes more effort than before. I'm worried that if I lie down I might not be able to get up again. There's no doubt that my time is running out. I feel like I could do naught but await death's sweet embrace to claim me. How long will I have to wait? Well, I still feel fine. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still out leading troops. Now we found the man. That one-legged, comfort-eating bastard. Are you forgetting about the Turk? Pecheneg, to be more specific. He's the expert. Out first, there are many reasons for me to ply the waters near Trondheim in times of peace. To show power, to dissuade pirates, even simply to fish or enjoy the breeze. We're on such a petty voyage when I spot a local vessel floating in the distance. Even from here, it's clear that it's taking damage while out raiding. Its crew is barely keeping it afloat as they paddle out water with silver goblets and ceramic bowls. The sight would be comical if it wasn't so serious. stop and try to help him, but you manage to save the crew. We win. Step out of my tent, the siege camp sprawls out before me. A muddy squirt of ragged canvas, a sea of ant hills, of wood fire smoke, of leather armor, of rust and dung. Flags flap and flood all along the horizon, and at various intervals fires burn. Weary long-haired commanders sit at tables, trading gossip and tall tales, conferring private. Their urgent whispers drifting on the breeze, while low retainer approaches and forces its sieges on it. I gather my bodyguards, head to the edge of the camp. 100 of Buckingham stands for me. A charred-cold bastion. In the fields in between, empty carts dotted the charred mounds of dirt. The wooden wheels still bear traces of thick, wet blood. On the walls it still stand. Blackened corpses line the battlements. Windows are shuttered or smashed. Lofty doors lie warped on their rusty hinges, torn off the hinges, and littering cobblestones and fragments. Grass, stones, and mortar shoot from roofs and chimneys. A few grimmed and ragged men sit idly waiting for death. Killed 2 stones of 1 bird. Get over yourself. Some would think, are you going softly in the English? Heck no. We're still declaring war and then giving them land, and this and then the other. Valetia. This would be interesting. Tell you what, we'll assemble at Denmark, and then put it here. One's gonna go after them inland, and the other army with siege equipment will go get Sussex. The main objective, the real objective. That's our plan. One more check. Yes, Sussex. And it's kind of too bad that you can only take one at a time with this, which will take more time. And somewhere in between we got to deal with him, which will happen in the next episode. That's a bigger army. So we'll find one more war in this here episode. And while you're at it, compose another epic before my life ends, which will happen sooner or later. And go support Greenland again. How about construct a temple? And let's give this one more try on Vinland. If you do well in your exploration, I might consider switching my vote for you to inherit all the land. But England. Torfy will get England. Don't you worry. Right. Let's begin. Sussex. The real objective. You cannot. Must be both in the same. Oh, hold on. There you go. Little correction. Get around. As I lay upon my bed, prostrated by my sickness and cursing my weak, failing body, I could barely make out the human figure approaching. Their slow steps and heavy sound were starting to scare me. They must guess my unease from the faint sounds leaving my mouth and the jerky movements in my hands, where the steps turned hurried. Soon a warm hand is holding my own. Familiar faces, my friend. Hush, Torgir. It's just me, Svanhilda. Oh, it pains me to see you like this. I wish I could do something, anything to ease your discomfort. Please, stay with me. Move your asses, will ya? Split. This army is gonna go to Sussex. And the other one is gonna engage wherever they are going. We're gonna take their capital. Oh hell, that's a big armada. I am not sure about what we're going to be dealing with here. Our level of splendor is now well known. Maybe we ought to lure him back over here. Off you go. While we're mainly focused on war and running out of time for this episode here. Maybe we ought to deal with that army first. Once again. We gotta deal with them. This is not a good idea. Not a good idea. But we're beating them. Just have faith, will you? Once the enemy capital is taken, then we will bring them. No. And we'll bring them over here. I'll compensate you. Oh my goodness, what happened to all the money? You've been spending heavily. Perhaps we should go whale hunting after this. A messenger bird brings me from Benedictus with an update about his expedition to Vinland. Benedictus says that the expedition is going well. Nothing significant happened, in a good way. He and the crew are currently resting in a rather peaceful location and making note of the various kinds of wildlife and plants that grow there. It is his hope that this conservation might be of use to us, or at least to the other explorers in the future. They are certainly doing good work. More mercenaries. How much money does that man have? Remembering birthdays past. 1 second. Gotcha. As I turn another year older today, I am reminded of the splendid birthday party that my friends Thorun, yes, my mother Thorun, and Lofe arranged me several years ago. How joyous it was to feel the kindness and warmth our friendship made so evident. Thorun has since passed, and I mourn the loss of such a great friend, who was my mother. She was by my side through thick and thin, never failing to bring a smile on my face in the times of sadness. I remember it as though it were yesterday. We feasted and danced and even presented me a wonderful gift. I still think I have my pod sword lying around somewhere. I'll never forget you, old friend. Messenger bird brings me Messenger Benedictus with the update about his expedition to Vinland. According to the message, the expedition met a setback. Oh, crud. Though Benedictus assures me it could have been worse. While they were sent into a harbor with the intent of exploring the nearby area, one of the ships ran aground. The damage was severe enough that Benedict gave the order to abandon the ship. He regrets to inform me that the crew was demoralized at this, but all the crew of the surviving suckers have been moved to the surviving ships. They managed to salvage a good amount of the sucker ship's cargo and wood. It tells me the expedition will continue on with under the grass. A costly disaster, but it could be worse, true. Hurry up and finish your siege. I've seen better. We took their capital. Even on way over there, says I step out of my tent and rub my eyes. Siege camp sprawls up before me. A jumble of tents and archery lanes, campfires and campfire smoke, canvas, oil trusses, flags flutter above the throne. The work is endless. The earth is a morass of mud and bodies. The air is found musty beneath the canopy of tarps that cover the tents. Sweet scent of horses and sweat and leather intermingle with the mixtures of blood and dried shit that cake our boots and cloaks. My low retainer approaches and informs that the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards head to the edge of the camp. The VIET of Visniza, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, it's Pomeranian, stands before me. A blackened waste of smoldering homes and stables and spires. In the fields between, the dead and dying cover the field. Broken regiments of warriors and crawling lines of upstanding fighters huddling beneath makeshift shelters. Cries of the engine mingle with the screams of the dying. Bodies of dead townspeople littered a cobblestone square. Frightened, survivors flee wildly in all directions, shrieking in terror. Loot that! Now! Get over here! They need our help. We're gonna have to fight against them again. 73%. I exit my tent. Siege camp swells before me. A haphazard pile of tents and shacks occupying the muddy ring of a forgotten village square. Flags flutter above the throne. The smell of tar and neat's foot oil hangs in the air. My low return approaches and informs me that the siege is ended. I gather my bodyguards and head to the edge of the camp. The Gordai Ste of Lewis. I guess that's the word for castle in their language. A charred and trampled heap of rubble and bodies. Between here and there, the charred remains of a dozen cramped huts, carcasses of goats and sheep and wild dogs, and of course our men. Scourged bodies hang from the charred branches, a punishment no doubt for some misdeed during the siege. Frightened survivors huddle in the rubble of the once noble huts and tottering towers, staring blankly ahead in shock. This is to be our land. Let's go get them. Reinforcements will arrive sooner or later. I got a pretty bad mouth sore tomorrow. While mouth sores do go away with time, they make eating an uncomfortable chore. How can I enjoy any food now when I have to be careful how I chew? I'll eat softer foods that don't require much chewing now. There you are. Tough one, ain't you? Get over here. We need to win one more battle. There we go. Messenger bird brings you a message from Benedict. An update about his expedition to Vinland. Benedict says while scouting here, his crew came across the remains of several skeletons. They were covered by a few curious trinkets, some of which were little worth, but others which appeared more useful, like jewelry and tools. After further investigating the area and find no sign of recent human activity, Benedict's decided to bury the skeletons to take some more useful materials from the site. Interesting discovery. A good outcome this time. Alright. For the love of the gods, take a break. You can have this. Take a break from all that fighting because start making some money again. You know what? Mass ransom. That's how we will make our money back. Yeah. Anybody else? No? Okay. Oh, actually, let's end the episode with this. The ships we sent on the expedition have been unreturned. I went to meet with Benedictus and asked about the various adventures he had during the expedition. I'm surprised that there was much to tell. Fortunately, it appears the expedition was ultimately a success. During the expedition, Benedictus managed to acquire a lot of useful resources, contacts, and information while exploring this frontier region. There is no doubt that the boons of this expedition will greatly help the Green colony. Perhaps we could send another expedition to this region in the future. It'll be another great opportunity to earn more glory for ourselves. The viability decreased? What are we even doing? It's all because of that one little bad episode that made a difference. I don't even know anymore, but still, the way to raise it is either sending expeditions, or if your dynasty has an outpost, by supporting it. But if it resolves a good ending, but again, that's going to be far in the future for this series. One thing is for certain, in the next episode, Greenland is about to go into the subsistence phase. And also in that upcoming next episode, we will begin to wrap up on the conquest of all of the North Sea Heartlands portion of England by taking Courtiers, which we'll have to do it one at a time, and fight against Aquitaine. And then that's it. Then we can rest, and we're going to start raiding again for loot, or go on a whale hunt or something. So, we hope you people have enjoyed this episode, because there's going to be a few more fights that are to come. See, and even though I have a limited time on Earth now that I'm infirm, but at least I got a rat hunting cat and all that. So, hope you enjoyed the episode, and until the next one, so long for now.